Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Hey, y'all. I want to go over, because it just came up and it's a little bit of a doozy, the difficulty and the problems you're going to have if you have a gap in treatment. And by gap in treatment, I don't really mean 2 months. I mean more like 7, 8, 12, a year, more than a year. That is really problematic because the SSA has to be able to find from the medical evidence that you became disabled and that it continued. So medical evidence is what shows it continued, not just that it started. Because a lot of people get disabled and then are not disabled. They, we fall ill, we break bones, and we heal, and we are no longer, as disabled as we were. We have perhaps residual impairments, perhaps not. So it has to be that you show the continuation. And the way I've heard it from adjudicators is I have to find something every year to keep that going. When they sometimes they really want to be able to support an award. And if there is nothing there for a gap in time, nothing. I mean, you're not even going to your primary care, then that's going to be something that they're not going to be able to succeed at doing. And that would mean that any disability that was noticed prior is now resolved. And if it's long enough ago, not very long ago, those weren't payable anyway, perhaps. So you have to keep going to the doctors. You know how I always nag about treatment, specialists, et cetera, for every little and big impairment. That definitely holds true. But if you are under some sort of constraints, right, and you suddenly have no insurance, certainly don't have money because you haven't been working, and you can't muster up the regular treatment you would normally ideally have. Number one, you need to be pushing to get insurance, whether that's getting on Medicaid because you don't have wherewithal, you don't have a spouse with wherewithal. And if you get denied from Medicaid, you appeal, you really push. You got to find out what the holdup is. Or if you have a spouse that's not disabled, perhaps that spouse should be seeking a job that provides benefits for both of you. Yeah, it might mean a job change. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. We have to make changes, right? That is what I would be working on if I lost my insurance. Okay, either Medicaid if I'm eligible, or if I have a spouse with a job, you got to work in somehow getting coverage. But when all else fails, and that takes a long time sometimes to get that to happen, and you have all those intervening months, I would be going at least to the primary care every few months to work on, little problems, whether it's, if for no other reason, to be able to get your complaints out there that these symptoms still exist. You can have a doctor who doesn't see continuing back treatment. I'm sorry, a judge or an adjudicator. You haven't had any back treatment in 14 months. Therefore, there's no complaints anywhere that your back still bothers you. And if that was a big part of your claim, now suddenly your claim has fallen apart. So at the very least, and this is not even a guarantee, but it gives you a fighting chance, go to whether you're going to urgent care or a clinic, or you have a primary care, but you just have to pay out of pocket. You need to figure out how to get an appearance in there. You have to attend to, and when we say treatment, and I think I did a video on this, we don't necessarily mean they have to be doing all sorts of things with you. Going to a visit is treatment because you're getting observed. They're recording your complaints if they're doing their job. And there's like following, a monitoring, a recording of what's going on and what your body's going through at that time. If you are doing it sporadically, now it can be really tough in this day and age to get medical providers to competently record your ongoing symptoms and complaints. Don't get me started on that, because I could go on all day. But I see nothing wrong with prior to an appointment, particularly if you're in the portal because you're a pre-existing patient. You know, you have an appointment for July 31st. Today's the 18th. Going in and saying, I just wanted to make you aware of my the issues, the terrible issues I'm having that I want to go over at the visit. XYZ. Try not to leave anything out. Sometimes these portals before visits, they have you, this is to save them time and effort, I'm sure. They have you go in and do your, I don't know what they call it, I forget, like intake or whatever. And that's where you are going to be clicking through symptoms and everything else. Do it and don't leave anything out. You know, if something's not bothering you the day you're filling it out, but it generally bothers you, I'd be sticking it in there. I'm not sure if they give you any space to do comments or narratives. And that's kind of a drawback, but at least you're going to get it, you know, you're going to be getting in that you complain about it. On top of that, though, I would do that message to the doctor saying, I just wanted to give you a better heads up about what I really need to go over because this is really impacting my day-to-day living. Boom. And then give the list. You know, it's literally, you know, you could do bullet points, you could do a paragraph, however you want to do it. I wouldn't tell them your whole life story, but you know, to get it, it's documented. I can't tell you they're going to treat you well for them, you know, don't know them, don't know if they're very competent or, you know, top notch, but you will have documented at least that you tried to get help for it while you didn't have insurance, because that will come up later, potentially if your representative includes it. I always include when my people have struggles. I just had a hearing where the person had struggles, had insurance with a working spouse, but the copays and the deductibles are really substantial, on top of the fact that there's already been 4 surgeries and those copays, they don't have the money to pay them. So they're already getting kind of, you know, not considered too fondly because they have these outstanding bills, even though those surgeries were covered under insurance. You guys know how it is. Those copays, they don't want to treat you anymore if you have too much of an outstanding copay on something. So yeah, you have to do the best you can, but if you can avoid those gaps in any way, shape you can, going to urgent care, going to a clinic, if it's serious, you're going to an ER, or ideally you go to your own primary care that hopefully you trust and rely on and who you have a good relationship with. And even if you only go every 6 months, come up with that $200 out of pocket if you have to. Do what you have to do. There are other videos on, you know, surviving financially, for those that are diligent and you know, looking to do that in other ways. But so I won't go through that here, but when there's a will, there's a way. You have to do it. You have to do it. Or else you really risk having that gap where they cannot connect whatever you had before. And that could, if that was going to be a finding of disabled, even if they find it to be disabled back then, 3 years ago, then you have an 18-month gap, say 2 years ago, and now you're at the present, you're back to treating, you might lose all that back time. Even though you had applied and everything else, you might lose that back time because you have this big gap. And now you're going to have a new onset date and you lose years of benefits. Okay. Anyway, gap in treatment, not good. And ideally, you don't have any gaps in any of your impairments. You know, treat. Check out that video. Maybe I'll try to get a button for it and attach it. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.